This is Sachin Sinha from Metal Cutting TV. And I have a very special guest with me today. His name is James Selka and he comes from United Kingdom. James is the current CEO of MTA, the Manufacturing Technologies Association of United Kingdom. And he has been involved actively in overall upliftment of the industry for, about last 30 years, I would say. James is an alumni of the Buckingham University, and he carries a rich working experience of about 30 years in the industry. So James, it's our pleasure to have you with us today. Welcome to Metal Cutting TV.
Thank you very much indeed for allowing me to speak to you today.
So James, to start with, we will really be happy and glad to know more about your journey so far as a professional in the manufacturing industry. So would you like to elaborate on it a bit?
Yes, thank you very much. I was very lucky that I joined the industry at the age of 16 as an apprentice, and then went on to do a degree in business at university, and then ended up in sales. And then fairly fast, by the time I was 25, I was the managing director of a small manufacturing plant of about 30 people, exporting worldwide in West Cork in Ireland, which was a very, very civilized place. I learned so much there because the team around me were really top class engineers. And when we had some trouble and had to diversify quickly due to market changes, we were able to turn the company around within 12 months. I then went on back to England to run the group of companies and set up overseas posts in Holland and Australia and the US and so forth, and ended up going from about 30% direct export business to over 60%. In my opinion, the true competitiveness, measure of competitiveness, is how much you are able to directly export. So I've been incredibly lucky. And then I went to work for one of the UK's only, what the Germans would call a Mittelstand company, incredible, of about 1,600 people making high precision mechanical seals. And again, operating in 60 countries, manufacturing in South Africa, the US, UK, India, joint ventures, 2 joint ventures in India, one of which was in my direct responsibility. And it gave me a taste and some experience of how amazing the engineers are in India. The quality coming out of our joint venture in India for the oil and gas industry was frankly fantastic, and a really good education and an introduction for me. After that, as you know, I ended up in 2014 joining the Manufacturing Technologies Association, where again I had chance to learn so much in direct interfacing with government, people at the top of industries worldwide, because I wasn't actually trying to sell them anything. We're a not-for-profit organization, and it's just been an incredible journey, and I would recommend anyone to join the engineering industry as it continues to need talent.
Exactly. I mean, that's so aptly described, I would say. James, one more important point which I wanted to discuss with you is that, we see that the machine tool sector, the machine tools, we have seen that over last many years or many decades, the industry has changed a lot, right? So with your, such a long stint in this particular industry, how would you describe the evolution which you have seen in the machine tool industry? I mean, starting from the basic lathes and, now to the CNC and DNC systems and the CNC machines.
Well, Sachin, I think you've described it perfectly, but when I first started out, most of the machines on the shop floor were manual, high precision, but manual. Then, of course, they went to automatic, and then they went to NC. Most people forget about numerical control before CNC, which was computerized numerical control. And then, of course, up through 5-axis. Again, a lot of people don't understand that when true 5-axis machining came along, in the late 80s, early 90s, that was when our industry went through to cybernetics, because in fact, those machines were no longer humanly possible to program. The computations are simply too complex with tool compensation. And I like to remind people about that when they talk about the digital revolution. I think they misunderstand it. So in summary, I would say that I've seen in my lifetime the most incredible changes, but it's gone really from machine tool to manufacturing technology. People no longer just want to acquire a machine tool. They need to acquire capacity and capability, and very reliably, because they can't afford to invest in something that won't earn them money.
Great. I think thanks for sharing your rich experience on this subject. James, we also see that, time and again, the people or the manufacturers in the machine tool industry, also to say in the metal cutting industry, they always talk about, scaling up their businesses to the next level. So what could be the right strategy basis your experience in order to, bring a kind of paradigm shift when we talk about the scaling up or growing the growth in the industry?
Well, speaking from where I am in the UK, those companies that take advantage of what we might call Industry 4 or connected manufacturing or digitalization of manufacturing, most of which are misleading. It's really the advent of recognizing that it's not just about hardware, it's about software, it's about leadership, because you can't make a productivity improvement without the skill, the technology, and of course the finance to put it in place. And when those three things come together, great things happen. And a lot of the smaller companies in the UK, I don't know what it's like in India, are quite nervous about making the shift to connecting machinery together or putting sensors on existing machinery, because they know they need to know about it, but they're nervous and they think it's very expensive. In fact, at our show back in 2018, MAC, we had some very old 1950s machines that were fitted with sensors costing between 200 and 1,000 pounds. And the amount of data we could get off those to demonstrate that it's not to be frightened of. The opportunity is simply enormous, and it doesn't have to be expensive. And then, of course, as you progress in your journey of reinventing your business model, you've got all the other things that governments like to talk about, like machine learning, AI, etc., which are all forms actually leading to the ability for mass customization. So I don't know if you've ever experienced ordering some trainers, for example, that are completely customized. You can now do that on a short lead time for very little premium cost. And that's all down to manufacturing technology. And so when we're trying to go lean, we're encouraging people to waste less, of course. If, to put it in the simplest terms, lean actually means the ability to produce viably as close as you can to demand. And with the technology these days, we really have that ability to seize that opportunity and produce customized items for everybody at very affordable prices with minimal waste. Because of course, none of us can ignore the crisis that the world is in, with a limitation of resources and the need to decarbonize, frankly. And I believe that this is linked very closely with the technological improvements in manufacturing technology. Because if you think about it, it's where manufacturing begins in machine tools and associated technologies, additive and so forth. And there isn't one thing that's man-made that hasn't had that technology applied to it. And so the opportunity to improve productivity and make the industry sustainable is there for us all to take. And I beg people, companies, to do so. Those ones in the UK that are taking advantage end up, not surprisingly, as super performing. And I'm sure it's the same. I've been very lucky to visit some companies in India, and I have been blown away by the energy, the entrepreneurship, and the ingenuity and quality of engineering that exists in your manufacturing industry. And I hugely applaud you for it.
Great. I think you have rightly said, and if I mean, with your permission, I can add a bit to it. What I have personally also have observed in the industry that on one side, when we visit large scale exhibitions like EMO, MAC, Imtex, or GymTop, then we see a lot of manufacturing technologies coming up, which are to support the manufacturing industry, to say. And on the other side, then when we have we have this SME sector, which is still trying to scale up slowly, trying to adopt new technologies. So I think that still there is a big room of improvement, and there is a very big gap where these SMEs, these small companies, are finding it a bit difficult and challenging to adopt these technologies. So there could be there could be some new I would say new propositions and solutions in this particular sector also, where people become more aware about the new technologies. So I mean, at some place the technology is actually existing, but the other place where the people are manufacturing, so is not a proper connection between the two. So probably if they get to know about it, there will be a higher pace in the industry scaling up and all those things. So that's how I also think about it. Probably if you can also add something to it.
I agree. That was very well put. I think there is, as you say, there is a bridge, a bigger bridge that needs to be built between the SME supply chain and technology providers, particularly around development of skill and leadership skill. But there is also another bridge that we have to make, which is one between the manufacturing technology companies and what we might call the Silicon Valley type tech companies, the huge giants like Microsoft and Oracle and so forth. And that ability to marry those three elements together, along, of course, with finance and training, I think that we can all achieve really great things in the future.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, special insights on this. Do you have any special message for our viewers in the metal cutting industry?
Thank you. I have a very simple three-part message. I'd like not only to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to this excellent broadcast, but I would like to thank you, of course, at Metal Cutting TV for the opportunity to speak. And I would like to salute our peers, our partners in India, who also run Imtex, for being such a big part in catalyzing the incredible manufacturing revolution that has happened over the last generation in India. It really is something that people outside India can look at and be full of admiration for. And sometimes when you're on the inside, you don't realize how much you're achieving until someone from outside says, wow, this is just incredible. So could I just salute the Indian manufacturing industry and our peers, the IMTBA, and the show Imtex, and invite, of course, anyone who wishes to either exhibit or visit MAC in 2022 in April. They would be so welcome as ever. And thank you so much again.
Great, James. Thank you so much for your, for investing your time today with us. And it's been really a pleasure talking to you on different subjects related to the machine tool and metal cutting industry, or so to say the manufacturing industry. And I wish a very good time to you and a very good luck to the Manufacturing Technologies Association as well. Have a great time ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much.